The silence in this house has a weight to it. I'm 82 and I'm sitting here waiting for nothing. That's the first thing they don't tell you. You stop waiting. I haven't spoken a word out loud in 3 days. My own voice, when I finally coughed, sounded like a stranger was in the room. Let me tell you what happened. It started when the house became mine alone. After Eleanor's funeral, after the kids went back home, her things were everywhere. Her reading glasses, her half-knitted scarf. They weren't memories. They were accusations. I was just a curator in a museum for a life that was over. The bed was the worst. I'd curl up on my side, facing her cold, empty space. The house would creak and it felt like it was asking me, "What now? What now?" That question hung in the air for months. Then one Wednesday, I answered it. I started with her closet. Opening that door, the smell of her, lilac and that lotion she used, hit me like a punch. I started with her shoes, a sensible pair of beige pumps. I held one and I could feel the shape of her foot. I put them in a box for donation. I felt numb. It was like I was a surgeon operating on my own heart. When I got to her favorite blue cardigan, I pressed my face into it. The smell was already fading. I didn't cry. I just folded it and put it in the box. By the end of the day, the closet was half empty and I was more tired than I'd ever been. But that empty closet made a new space inside me, a quiet space. I stopped turning on the radio. I started to listen. I heard the fridge hum. I heard a tree branch tap the gutter. I stopped eating at noon and 6 on the dot. I'd have soup at 3 in the afternoon. One night I ate ice cream right from the carton, standing at the kitchen sink. No one was there to see it. The freedom was scary. It made me feel like I could just float away. That feeling led me to the garage. I dragged out my old drafting table. I hadn't drawn anything since I retired from the architecture firm. My hands were stiff. I set it up in the sunroom where Eleanor's plants used to be. I bought new pencils. I started to sketch, but not real buildings. I drew impossible things. A glass tower with a river winding up through it. A house in the roots of a giant tree. Hours would disappear. For the first time since she died, I wasn't thinking about her. I was just creating. It was like a secret life. But that secret life got interrupted every Sunday. The kids would call. Michael at 6, then Sarah at 7. I'd get ready for it, you know. I'd practice my lines. I'm fine. Yes, eating well. The weather's nice. I performed for them. I could hear the worry in their voices, all the way from their coast. There was this huge canyon between us, filled with everything I couldn't say. I couldn't say, I talked to the grocery clerk for 10 minutes today just to hear someone talk. Saying that would make me a problem. So I gave them the safe, simple version. After I hung up, the silence in the house felt even louder. I went to the grocery store on a Tuesday. It felt like a different world. So bright and fast. I saw a young couple fighting over what cereal to buy. Then I saw an old man moving slow in the dairy aisle. His cart was almost empty, like mine. We looked at each other. We just nodded. It was a small nod, but it meant something. It meant, I see you. You're like me. I started to see other people like us everywhere. The woman eating alone at the diner. The man on the park bench. We were all carrying our silence with us. We recognized it in each other. Then our wedding anniversary came, June 12th. I felt it in my bones when I woke up. I didn't go to the cemetery. I drove to the botanical garden, a place we loved. I sat on our bench by the koi pond. I didn't try to force myself to remember her. I just sat. And then a memory came, all on its own. It was our first anniversary. We were at this cheap Italian place. I spilled red wine on the tablecloth, and we couldn't stop laughing. The memory was sharp and clear, but it didn't hurt. It was just there. I said to the empty space next to me, 58 years, and it felt okay. It felt like I had carried the day myself, and I'd done it right. A few days later, I faced the freezer in the basement. Eleanor had filled it in her last year. Containers of stew, soup, lasagna, all labeled. I'd been avoiding it. That night I took out one that said chicken and dumplings, November. I heated it up. The smell filled the kitchen. It was her kitchen smell. I sat one place at the table. I took a bite. It tasted like love. It tasted like care. It tasted like goodbye. I ate every bit and I cried. Not the hard sobs from right after she died. This was a quiet, steady cry. It was for the beauty of what we had. I was finally eating her last meal for me. When I washed the bowl, I felt hollowed out, but clean, like something had been released. Not long after that, I fell. It was stupid. I was in the sunroom, reaching for a pencil under my drafting table. I lost my balance and landed right on my hip. The pain was so bright and sharp. I lay there on the rug, breathing hard. This was the fear, the big one. No one to call for, no one to hear you. After a minute, I moved my legs. Nothing was broken. I crawled to a chair and pulled myself up. I got an ice pack. Sitting there, I didn't feel scared. I felt capable. The fall wasn't a tragedy. It was just something that happened. I fell. I got up. I took care of it. I was still the one in charge here. That's when I called the painter. I had him paint over the dining room wallpaper, the floral pattern Eleanor picked in 1994. I chose a color called Tranquil Dawn. It's a soft blue-gray. I watched the roller go over those old roses and vines. It smoothed it all into something new. When it dried, I didn't put the furniture back the same. I turned the table. I brought in my armchair and a reading lamp. The formal dining room was gone. Now it's my sitting room, a place for me and my drafting table. I sat in that new chair and I didn't feel her absence. I felt my own presence, and it was enough. So here I am. The silence isn't heavy anymore. It's my companion. I draw my impossible buildings. I eat when I'm hungry. I see my fellow solitary souls, and we nod. My love for Eleanor isn't gone. It's deep down under everything, like bedrock. Living alone, it sanded me down. It stripped away the husband, the father, the employee. What's left is just me. I am more myself than I've ever been. That's the change nobody warns you about. It strips you bare. But if you listen to that quiet, it shows you who you really are. The other side of loneliness isn't about being happy. It's about being real. It's a peaceful, authentic thing, and I found it. And you know what? That feeling of being enough, it didn't last. The quiet got under my skin in a different way. I started noticing the practical things. The house got loud with chores. A dripping faucet was a crisis. A burned out light bulb on the high ceiling felt like a mountain to climb. I'd stare at it and think, well, that's staying dark. The grocery bags felt heavier. I'd make 2 trips from the car. my arms aching, and no one was there to hold the door. It was 1,000 little battles every week, and I was the only soldier. I felt tired in my bones, not the good tired from drawing, but a weary kind of tired. I started talking to myself, not full conversations, just muttering, "Where are the damn scissors?" or "That bill is due Thursday." My voice in the empty room sounded old and scratchy. I missed the sound of an answer. I missed someone saying, "They're in the drawer, dear," even if they weren't. That's when the loneliness came back. But it wasn't about missing Eleanor anymore. It was about missing a witness, missing someone to see that I'd fixed the drip, that I'd finally changed that light bulb. And you know what? That feeling of being enough, it didn't last. The quiet got under my skin in a different way. I started noticing the practical things. The house got loud with chores. A dripping faucet was a crisis. A burned out light bulb on the high ceiling felt like a mountain to climb. I'd stare at it and think, well, that's staying dark. The grocery bags felt heavier. I'd make 2 trips from the car, my arms aching, and no one was there to hold the door. It was 1,000 little battles every week, and I was the only soldier. I felt tired in my bones, not the good tired from drawing, but a weary kind of tired. I started talking to myself, not full conversations, just muttering, "Where are the damn scissors?" or "That bill is due Thursday." My voice in the empty room sounded old and scratchy. I missed the sound of an answer. I missed someone saying, "They're in the drawer, dear," even if they weren't. That's when the loneliness came back. But it wasn't about missing Eleanor anymore. It was about missing a witness, missing someone to see that I'd fixed the drip, that I'd finally changed that light bulb. The worst was the silence at the table. I'd catch myself setting 2 places out of habit, then have to put the second plate away. One Tuesday I made a pot roast, her recipe. The smell filled the house. I sat down to eat it alone. I took a bite. It was good. I said out loud, "The potatoes are perfect, El." The words just hung there. They didn't go anywhere. They didn't reach anyone. They just fell into the quiet and died. I put my fork down. I felt a panic then, a cold kind of fear. This was it. This was the rest of my life. Me talking to ghosts in an empty house, fighting a war against dripping taps and high light bulbs. I was disappearing. No one was there to see me, so maybe I wasn't really there at all. I called Sarah that night, not on Sunday. I needed to hear her voice. When she answered, she was distracted. I could hear one of the grandkids yelling in the background. "Dad, is everything okay?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. I opened my mouth. I wanted to say no, nothing is okay. I'm so lonely I think I'm vanishing. But I heard the chaos behind her, her life, so full it was spilling over. I couldn't add my empty silence to that. It would be like handing her a heavy, ugly stone. So I closed my mouth. I swallowed the truth. "Everything's fine, honey," I said, my voice steady as a lie. "Just wanted to hear your voice." We talked for a few more minutes about nothing. After I hung up, I sat in the dark. I had chosen the lie. To protect her, to protect the idea of me as someone who was managing. That's when I broke. I cried. Hard, ugly sobs that hurt my chest. I wasn't crying for Eleanor. I was crying for myself. For the man who was trapped in this quiet. had become a problem so big he had to hide it from his own children. The cost was this: I had lost the right to be truly seen. I had to be fine. So I would be fine, even if it was killing me. So I would be fine, even if it was killing me. And that's when I realized the lie wasn't just for them. It was for me too. I was trying to perform for an empty house, for a ghost, for some idea of what a grieving man should be. I was so busy trying to be fine that I forgot how to be here. Here's what I learned, sitting in that dark silence after I hung up the phone. Grief isn't a problem to be solved. It's a presence to be lived with. And living alone, it doesn't just change your routines. It changes your truth. You start to believe your own performance. You start to think the quiet, capable man you show the world is the whole story. He's not. The man who is terrified of the next fall, who misses a witness, who talks to a pot roast, he's just as real. And he deserves a seat at the table too. I was wrong about so much. I was wrong to think clearing out Eleanor's closet was the hard part. The hard part was clearing out the expectations I had stuffed in there instead. The expectation that I should be over it, that I should be independent in every way, that needing someone to talk to was a weakness. That's the tyranny no one warns you about, the tyranny of should. I should be happy with my own company. I should be a rock for my kids. I should not be a burden. Let me tell you what love really required of me after she was gone. It didn't require me to be strong. It required me to be honest. It required me to say, Sarah, I'm lonely today, even with the grandkids yelling in the background. It required me to call that man from the dairy aisle, if I'd ever been brave enough to ask for his number. Love, for her, for my family, for myself, required me to stop performing and start connecting, even if my voice shook. So here's my advice for anyone sitting in a quiet that's starting to feel too heavy. Don't do what I did. Don't build a museum of your old life and then appoint yourself the silent guard. You're not a curator. You're still a living, breathing resident. Paint the damn wall. But then, open a window. Let some new air in. Talk to the checkout clerk. Really talk. Ask the man feeding the pigeons what kind they are. When your kids call, tell them one true thing. Just one. I made your mother's pot roast today, and it made me miss her so much I couldn't finish it. Give them the gift of your real self, not the protected version. They can handle it. More than that, they need it. We all think we're protecting each other with these polite lies, but we're just building higher walls. Your loneliness isn't a flaw. It's a signal. It's telling you to reach out. And listen, you still have time. Maybe not decades, maybe not even years, but you have now. And now is enough to be honest. Now is enough to say, I see you, to another lonely soul, and mean it. There is hope, but it doesn't look like you think. It's not the sudden return of happiness. It's not another great love. It's the quiet understanding that you can hold two truths at once. I am profoundly alone, and and I am still here. I miss Eleanor every day, and I am building a life she never knew. The loneliness didn't disappear. I just made room for it. I let it sit in the chair across from me, and I stopped pretending it wasn't there. We have an understanding now. Some days it's heavy. Some days it's just quiet, but it's my truth. And there's a peculiar peace in that. At 82, I am more me than I've ever been. The scared parts, the capable parts, the lonely parts, the creative parts, all of it. Living alone sanded me down to that. And while I wouldn't wish the sanding on anyone, I can't deny the shape it revealed. If this quiet story of mine resonated with you, if you felt that hollow weight or you know someone who is carrying it, then you understand why I had to speak it aloud. Sharing these unwarned about changes isn't easy, but it makes the silence less absolute. So if you found a piece of your own truth here, would you consider leaving a comment below? Just a few words. Tell me what you recognized. Your story matters too. And if you want to make sure you don't miss the next conversation, because there are more stories to tell from this chair by the window, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It would mean the world to this old man to know I'm not just talking into the void. If this helped you see your own situation differently, please share it with a friend or a family member. You never know who might need to hear that what they're feeling isn't strange. It's human. We're all just learning how to carry our silence.